Bleacher Report just released the Knicks' current trade assets. They also ranked those assets among all other teams in the NBA. And according to Bleacher Report, they claim the Knicks right now have one of the worst remaining trade assets of any team in the NBA. We're going to break down exactly what Bleacher Report thinks the Knicks' current trade assets are, and so much more today. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button now. And make sure you have notifications turned on so you don't miss a second of the new content. And now, let's get started. Bleacher Report reveals the Knicks' current trade assets. Now, each and every time Bleacher Report releases an article about the Knicks, for me, it's hit or miss. Sometimes they get it right. Oftentimes they get it wrong, but most of the time, the truth is somewhere in the middle. Some of the things they say are correct, and some of the things are not correct. And the same is true with the latest article they released about the Knicks and their current trade assets. Number one, they got it wrong again. They listed the incorrect assets for the Knicks and what they could potentially trade right now. Not only that, in terms of their ranking, I can understand them ranking the Knicks in terms of right now, having one of the worst trade assets among teams in the league. However, that's half of the story. Talk about the roster they have right now, the pieces that they have right now. There's a reason that their assets are not that desirable, because the team that they have right now is in championship contention. But let's break down what Bleacher Report stated about the Knicks and their current trade assets. According to Bleacher Report, out of 30 teams, they ranked the Knicks as number 25 in terms of having the worst trade assets among teams in the NBA. According to Bleacher Report, the notable players that the Knicks can trade right now are Julius Randle, Miles McBride, and Dadiet. And then in terms of the picks that they have, they can trade a 2026 first-round pick and a 2030 first-round pick. The reason that the Knicks are number 25 on that list is because the Knicks are one of the best teams in the league right now. And when you have one of the best rosters in the entire NBA, you're likely not going to have the greatest trade assets because you likely utilized your trade assets to create that good roster. So that's one of the things that Bleacher Report is not mentioning here. Also, with the picks, did you notice that they left off the protected picks that we have from Detroit and Washington? They may not mean anything to a lot of teams, but you know what? They're still trade assets that the Knicks have, and they should be listed on that list, but they're not there. Bleacher Report forgot about them. However, in the actual article, when they're discussing things about the Knicks, they actually mention those protected picks there. But just for some reason, they forgot to mention them on this specific list where they're mentioning the Knicks and their current trade assets. It's a little ironic to me, and it doesn't make sense in my opinion. First of all, the Knicks are not looking to trade their first-round pick in this year's draft, Dadiet. He is 19 years old currently, just turned 19. He has a lot of upside, and the Knicks want to develop him. He is not a player right now that the Knicks want to trade. In fact, there have been no reports out there even indicating that the Knicks would be open to trading Dadiet. So that particular player on this list makes no sense. Another player that doesn't make sense to be on this list is Julius Randle. I understand. Extension year. I understand. He's going to be in a contract year next year if he's not extended by August 3rd. I understand all of this stuff. However, he's coming off of an injury. He didn't play in the postseason. Why would the Knicks trade him now? What is his current value? He should not be on this list. Regardless of what you want to say, the Knicks do not have any plans to trade Randle right now, especially before seeing at least one game of Mikal, OG, Randle, and Brunson. Without seeing it, at least for a few games, there is no way they're going to trade Randle right now. It doesn't even make sense to put him on this list. So again, in classic Bleacher Report fashion, they are wrong. 2 players out of the 3 players that they listed aren't real trade assets for the Knicks right now. The only player really is Miles McBride, and thankfully, he's listed there. Jericho Sims, not listed there. Why? No idea. Precious Achiuwa. Now, I know he's not currently a Knicks player. However, almost every single report out there basically states the reason he's still a free agent is because the Knicks want to utilize him in a sign and trade. If that's the case, at least mention that. Have a star there and mention the fact that the Knicks could potentially do that as well, because that's how you give a very good idea, a good scope into what the Knicks' current trade assets are. Now, are they wrong? Do the Knicks have great trade assets at this point in time? No, they don't. They are very bad in terms of trade assets right now. In fact, their current ranking being number 25 out of 30 teams, I actually don't disagree with that. But that's because the Knicks have one of the best teams in the NBA right now. That has to be mentioned. According to Andy Bailey from Bleacher Report, here's his explanation on why the Knicks rank number 25 out of 30 teams in terms of their current trade assets. According to Bailey, the New York Knicks still technically have 2025 first-rounders coming in from the Washington Wizards and the Detroit Pistons, but the protections on those make them unlikely to convey. Even though that's the case, still mention them on your main list. Why would you mention them in the actual article but fail to mention them on the list? It doesn't make sense. Beyond that, New York's draft and stash is mostly second rounders, thanks to the huge haul the Knicks paid to land Mikal Bridges. Not mentioning the fact that because the Knicks added Mikal Bridges, the perfect piece to this Knicks roster, we are finally in championship contention. We finally have a championship window. Those details are not there. They're missing. Again, classic Bleacher Report fashion here. But let's continue. And with much of the roster now seemingly tailored to support the Nova Knicks core, it's kind of difficult to identify obvious trade candidates. Julius Randle's on-ball offense may clash a bit with Jalen Brunson's, and he probably has some value around the league. But New York probably wants to see how this new team all fits together before unloading him. So again, in the article, you mentioned why it would not make sense for the Knicks to trade Randle now because they probably want to see how it looks with Randle before making that move. But yet, on the trade asset list, you still include Julius Randle. Let me fix this for you real quick so we can make sure everybody understands what exactly the Knicks' current trade assets are. And right now, it's Miles McBride, Jericho Sims, Preston Achiuwa in a sign and trade, and those Detroit and Washington Wizards protected first-round picks. Other than that, the Knicks are not looking to trade anything else. Those are our current trade assets. Now, maybe they are bad in terms of the trade assets among the entire league, if you're ranking them. But our team is one of the best in the league. And even though you mentioned it in the article, you didn't really highlight it as much as you should have. So let me do that for you. The Knicks right now, as currently constructed, are one of the best teams in the entire NBA, a top team in the Eastern Conference. They just made their way into the top in the East. And now, because of what they've done this offseason, we now have a new big three in the East. Boston, the Knicks, and the 76ers. Whoever used to be there, they're now gone. Some people may not like that, but that's what it is. Bleacher Report sometimes fails to mention all of this, so I had to make sure I said it so you guys weren't confused in anything that they were mentioning here. Speaking about confusing, Bleacher Report also mentioned the following. Julius Randle's on-ball offense may clash a bit with Jalen Brunson's. May clash? Did anybody watch what the team was doing in January? Because I feel like everybody was asleep in January. It was just me and a couple of other Knicks fans that were awake watching the magic that was happening on that floor. And the team wasn't even complete at that time, wasn't even fully healthy at that time. We're talking about this Knicks team going into the regular season, fully healthy, fully stacked, with a starting lineup that will consist of Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, Julius Randle, and Mitchell Robinson. That's a death lineup. You can't stop that lineup. Defensively, they're shutting you down. Offensively, you can't stop them. Yes, Jalen Brunson is the head of the snake, but when he gets doubled and triple teamed, who's getting that ball? Oh, probably the second best player in terms of offense on the team right now in Julius Randle. Yeah, that's right. 3-time All-Star Julius Randle? Yeah, that's right. And if he gets doubled or triple teamed, he can pass it back to Jalen Brunson, pass it to Mikal Bridges, pass it to OG Anunoby, or any one of our other shooters we have on this team. We are built for success this year. We have the perfect squad to complement our stars on this team. Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson, they operate and command so much attention in the paint. Because of that, you need players on the wing and on the perimeter that can shoot. We now have those players. You cannot stop the Knicks. You're going to see it, at least some flashes of it, come preseason. And then come the regular season, when all of this roster, this entire starting unit and the bench unit lock in, and they know exactly what the goal is, you're going to see it on a night-to-night basis. The league cannot handle us. They cannot stop us. Our time is right now, and our window to win a championship is in the next 4 to 5 years. And we are getting that championship. We are breaking the drought, and we are bringing that title home to New York. But what about you guys? What do you think about Bleacher Report claiming that the Knicks are one of the worst teams in the league in terms of remaining trade assets? And what about the trade assets that they claim the Knicks currently have to trade away? Let me know in the comments below, guys, because honestly, I would love to hear from you. But that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, go ahead and smash that like button, leave a comment below. And of course, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knicks fans. Peace.